Well, here we go again, golf nerds. I'm golf spiritual leader, although I feel a little sheepish after having Fred Shoemaker on last week. I'm almost embarrassed. Along with Coach Tim O'Connor, we are Swing Thoughts. And this episode, number 316, in the year of our Lord, 2026. Hi, Timmy.
This is AD, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right. Great to be with everybody as we are into May. It's the golf season. But as has been our pattern here in Southern Ontario for the last few springs, it is just one day, like a couple days ago, was I played golf on Saturday. I'll tell you about it in a second. But the weather just keeps going up and down. You know, it was like 0 degrees, and then it was 20 degrees, and then, you know, yeah, a couple days ago it was toward the end. It's going to be 5 or 6 today. All by way of saying it's been another typical Southern Ontario spring, Tim.
Yeah, I know. I heard someone refer to it as sprinter because it still had elements of winter in it. And so I'm still waiting for that day in which it just sort of seems to hit this threshold and pops into summer. So we're all waiting for that. Yeah, it's another dark and dreary here day in Guelph.
I'm going to steal that from you, sprinter.
Because I stole it from someone.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what they say. The greats borrow, the truly greats steal. Saturday was our first kind of Saturday morning group event of the year. And I got to the golf course at about 8 o'clock, teed off around 9, something like that. Honestly, Tim, if it hadn't been this group of guys, I would have gotten back into my car. And when we teed off, it might have been 9:30 by the time I got on the golf course because there was a frost delay, obviously.
Yep.
And somewhere in the first fairway, it started to snow.
Sprinter.
Oh,
Sprinter.
Yeah, and that was one of a couple of times during that round that it snowed or sort of whatever it is, like sort of spit snowed. Snowed? It snowed at us.
Isn't it? I think it's called grapple or something. It's like it's kind of like this hard. It's kind of like this hard stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's called grapple.
Well, it grappled on us a couple of times.
Well, our STDs can let us know those meteorologically inclined.
Yeah, the meteorologically inclined amongst us.
Thank you, professional broadcaster.
You're welcome. Yeah, man, it was crazy, and I had 4 layers on. And at one point, here's how you know golfers are imbued with such a spirit of hope. At one point, we were down sort of in a lower end of the golf course, and we were away from the wind, and it might have gotten up to like 9 degrees. We were a couple hours after we teed off. And I said to my buddies, I'm like, oh, it's great now. It's just great.
Can you feel the warmth of the sun on your back?
I said that. I said, I may lose a layer. Of course I didn't. But, you know, that's how twisted we are. It was like the kind of day where, you know, you would debate about walking the dog. You know, and you'd be like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Or at least take the short walk. Yeah, well, Ronan and I, quick story. About 10, 12 years ago, Ronan Quinn and I got to Blue Springs. It was May the 4th, and we pulled into the parking lot about 10. Our cars were the 3rd and 4th cars in the parking lot. And as I parked the car, I looked at the dash. The thermometer said 4. And the aforementioned grapple stuff was going sideways across my hood. And it was like, really? We're going to do this?
Oh, yeah.
And Ronan and I went, okay. Like I said, we're fully dressed in all our outer apparel, as it's called. And we ended up having a really good time. We're like laughing, you know, watching, you know, what do you call those rooster tails of snow on the golf ball.
Oh, yeah.
We had a blast.
Well, as you say, there will be a moment, a moment of demarcation is coming.
That's it.
And at some point we'll transition out of whatever this is. This episode, as always, brought to you by TaylorMade QI 4D drivers. TaylorMade says these are their fastest, most fittable drivers they've ever put out. And they put out some good ones. TaylorMade drivers, the QI 4D. It's time to find your new fast. And lots of great reaction. We were just discussing with our producer, Nick, before the show. A lot of great reaction to Fred Shoemaker. I mentioned him off the top. How not only reaction from our audience, but my friends, my family, friends, sending notes. Love my brother, the older brother, the really smart one. He's a psychologist. He's like I saw a thing going back and forth between him and my other brother, who's pretty smart. He's not older brother smart, but he's pretty smart. And they were saying, "Hey, where can I get a transcript?" Because my older brother's a psychologist, wanted to take some of the quotes from Fred from that episode, and I really enjoyed it. What did you think?
Well, it was what I would hope it would be, but it was really funny. I'll let people know. I'm not sure if we mentioned this on air, as they say at the end of our last episode, or when the episode was over, but we were both nervous.
Oh yeah, we did.
Like we've done, what you say, 316 of these things.
Oh,
A
yeah.
couple of times I've been like, maybe when we had David Ledbetter first on, I was a bit nervous, but with Fred on, it was like, oh wow, I've got Fred on. Let's not F this up, Let's not piss him off or ask stupid questions or stammer too much. But no, it ended up being great. And because he's like, I sort of refer to him as the philosopher king of golf. And he's just he's like talking to a monk in terms of how grounded he is,
How
and
measured he is.
all of that, and how deep into the game and psychology and just our ways of being that he's been. Like he's just so thinks in such a way that's so counterintuitive to an industry, and I use that word intentionally, that's focused on quick fix and giving people kind of what they think they want. So yeah, he's always, to me, absolutely amazing.
Well, I did. I think we said at the end of the show that you and I were a little nervous, and weirdly so. And we've had him on the show before, but I think when we first had him on, it was early days. Not that we didn't appreciate him, we did. But I think in the ensuing years, the 10 years we've been doing this, I don't know, maybe it meant more to us to talk to him again, especially after all the interviews that we've done. And you're right, by the way. First time we had Ledbetter on, I was a bit nervous. Trying to think who else. Those were the ones that stand out. Ledbetter for sure, just because of the name recognition. I didn't want to screw it up. You wanted to make a good impression on the guy. But if anyone hasn't heard the Fred Shoemaker episode from last week, you should go and listen to it. I would tell you, do you have any comment about Ledbetter? Because I wanted to tell you something that I don't think I've ever told you.
No, Ledbetter was great. I was just sort of going to joke that, we were nervous, but that first one went so well, he became our friend. He came on again.
No, exactly. It only took him 10 years.
I meant Ledbetter.
Oh, Ledbetter. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I want to tell you, we've done 300 and this will be our 316th episode. I've never listened to an entire episode of Swing Thoughts. Not an entire one. I've listened to bits and pieces of them. And obviously I listen to make sure that the audio is working and I edit some stuff. But from start to finish, I just listened to it like it was a podcast. Just like it is a podcast. I know that sounds stupid, but you know what I mean? Like,
it's one that you're listening to so you can glean information, insights. Yes.
But as opposed to like listening to it like the guy that did the podcast, which is different because I listened to it, make sure the levels were right, or did I say something too stupid or whatever, and I'll just skim episodes. I know you've listened to entire episodes, but that was the first one that I put it on my way somewhere at 00, and I listened to the entire thing. And it was great. Our part, I think we asked decent questions, but as you say, he's just so measured and easy to understand, and just a good feeling. You get a good buzz from the guy.
Yeah. Interesting what you say, like easy to understand. I think sometimes he'll throw at something that might, people go like, really? What's he talking about? I mean, because it's so counterintuitive. And he talks at a very high level, but then he very quickly goes a little deeper into his topic, and then it all just makes so much sense. And but that's what he does. He takes a look at this game in a way that I've never heard anyone else. And I mean that absolutely clearly. No one I've ever heard talks like Fred at a very high level of the game, in which he has a perspective that I've not heard from any other people. Maybe bits from Shivas Irons, but who wasn't a real person. But no, Fred's just he's just really incredible to listen to, and I think we're very, very fortunate, both you and I, to have spent time with him alone in personal
Oh, yeah.
coaching, and yeah, I could just drone on and on.
Well, listen, my friend, and as I mentioned on the podcast, how we came together, you and I, was a couple of things we had in common. Obviously, the game of golf, but a couple of books that we talked about in that early meeting was "Golf Is Not a Game of Perfect" by Bob Rotella, and this one that I have in my hand, it's his "Extraordinary Golf." So I've been rereading it now, and I want to take a little passage that will be a bit of a segue into what we're going to talk about today. As you can tell, we do not have a guest. But we have a bunch of stuff that I've been saving to throw at Tim, and I think the audience will find some of it, hopefully all of it, somewhat instructive. So in the book, Fred, in this particular section, talks about how once you become aware that you see golf, and likely other areas of your life as well, from the point of view that something is always wrong, which golfers do, then he says, then change is possible. You can move from a culture based on judgment to one based on possibility. This is the culture of extraordinary golf. And why I wanted to pick that out is again, I picked out 2 or 3 different clips I wanted to play you. This first clip is from a woman. She's has a site called Think Better Golf. And this whole thing I'm about to play you, let me just take the music off. The whole thing I'm about to play, Tim, is all about overthinking. And it's kind of dovetails with what Fred's talking about, how we always think something's wrong with our golf swing. And what do we do to stop overthinking? So here's this woman, and I will, I apologize, I should have had her name, but Think Better Golf is where you'd find her. And here's what she has to say about overthinking. And then I'd like to get your thoughts about this.
Golfer, I was a chronic overthinker. Think is all I wanted to do, and it wasn't working. My coach encouraged me to try to play target golf in competition, and that was initially terrifying. But what I discovered was that I played better than I could have ever imagined. Your swing actually isn't the problem. Your discomfort with uncertainty is the problem. When you stand over the ball, there's inherent uncertainty in where the ball will go, and you don't like that feeling. There's a feeling of tension, of groundlessness, of being untethered. So you try to eliminate that feeling by thinking all the thoughts you can about your mechanics, because if you swing perfectly, you can guarantee that that ball will go to the target, right? So you can see that this is a false belief that overthinkers carry. So what's the treatment? So I take wisdom from exposure and response prevention, which is a treatment for obsessive compulsive disorder, in fact, where we expose ourselves to the thing we don't like feeling and resist the urge to control it. If you're an overthinker, the exposure therapy for you is to play target golf. Do it in practice, do it on the course, and allow yourself to feel those feelings of tension or even sheer terror as you stand over the ball without overthinking. Do this over, and your nervous system will learn that you actually can survive that feeling. Because if you don't, you're just maintaining the cycle of fear, overthinking, tension, bad golf, and more fear.
I think that's pretty bang on for a lot of golfers, myself included, in terms of always having to think. You need to think about how to hit a golf ball. And the fact is, you don't have to, but you do have to train yourself. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And her name is Carly Hunt. I looked her up, and Think Better Golf. Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is this Think Better Golf, but what she's talking about is not thinking. Now, the thing is that it's going to sound weird. It's impossible not to think. Like when you talk to people about meditation, they say, well, I can't do meditation. I'm crappy at it because I can't clear my mind. Well, the object is not to clear your mind, because you'd be dead if your mind was clear. What you're talking about, though, is focusing on the target is just so different than what am I going to do with my right elbow, my left hip? That's when you get in your own way. You create tension. You just F your swing up. Whereas you focus on a target, as our good friend, our Irish friend,
Dr.
Colin,
Ed.
Dr. Ed. This is basically your body self-organizes. And so when you're focused on the target, it's your brain's taking in all this information, and your body goes, okay, I know what to do. We're going to hit it under here, bend it around there, land it there. And our body does it. So we're not thinking, processing, figuring out, and therefore not judging, etc. We're just kind of allowing.
Well, yeah, and I've tried it. I mean, again, you're right. Everybody, we're always thinking constantly. And as far as meditation goes, I've been doing it now long enough to recognize that it isn't about not thinking. It's about recognizing that we have thoughts and not giving them more weight than they actually deserve. Like a human being, to come to the realization, we are not our thoughts. These are just things that our thoughts are not defining us. But when it comes to golf, it's really hard because I'm again, back to my older super smart brother. Sometimes he stands over the ball. I played a lot of golf with him this winter, and I'd say, I can just see you going through your Rolodex.
Exactly. Grinding
away about how to hit a golf ball. And I've said this to him many times. Your golf swing is good enough. It produces very nice golf shots.
That's right.
But I like what Carly said about we just don't trust it. For me, where I find I do it the best is the closer I get to the green. The closer I get to the green, the less mechanical I become. When I get to the pitching, chipping zone, I totally focus. I totally focus where I want the golf ball to go, Tim.
That's hearkening back to our focusing.
I focus on the spot, but I just find that I rarely have mechanical thoughts when I'm trying to pitch a ball onto a green. I never think about whatever swing thought I'm working on at that point. I find it harder when I've got driver in my hand, yet to her point, when I do give up the control of, what is it I'm working on at this moment and just go, okay, well, I'm going to try and hit it off that tree. I'll finish by saying I played a golf course I'd never played about a week ago. And you're going to know, you'll get the end of this story. The guys I was playing with said, oh, okay, this hole, dog leg left, just hit it at that tree, blah, blah, blah. And I would invariably hit it at that target because it was new to me.
Mm-hmm.
More often than not that day, I hit some pretty good drives without really thinking about them other than following the instruction of that's the target. But I don't normally, it's harder, I think, for most golfers the further you are away. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. When you're chipping, I remember having this experience. This is like 1,000 years ago, playing with my dad, and I was always very obsessed about my mechanics. And then I just went out with the idea that I would just pick a spot where I wanted to land a ball when I was chipping and pitching. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's like almost not dead on it, but very close to that target all the time. And suddenly, rather than being this tense, control freak, I was just allowing these things to happen. And so it's easy because the spot is it could be 15 feet, it could be 20 yards, and you can see it and relate to it.
Exactly. You can see the spot.
Yeah, but that's harder off the. That's why I think with Rotella and the aforementioned Golf's Not a Game of Perfect, he talks about if you're aiming at a green, don't focus on just say one quadrant of the green. Focus on say the tree behind and the branch, and focus on that and react to that. And
small targets.
Exactly. So there are ways to do it, but it's a skill you have to develop.
Absolutely. And just to finish off with Carly, there's a great comment from the comments on her post. Somebody said, I heard a pro recently say they think on the range, but play almost thoughtlessly during the game. We amateurs practice thoughtlessly hit it great then sees up playing and thinking too much. And that's absolutely the truth. Like amateurs are just hitting. We go to the range and we have no plan, we have no process, and hit it fine without really thinking too much.
Yeah. I remember our good friend Paul Dooland, who coaches PGA Tour players, elite players. He said that golf professionals high level golfers put all their focus on the process before they hit the ball. And then it's like, accept wherever it goes. Amateurs, it's the exact opposite. Like you just said, is that their focus is they're not focused on process. They just like try and hit the ball, hope it goes where they want it to go. And then, dear God, after they hit it, did it go where I wanted it to go?
That's right. I want to move on to a coach you know of. Most people have heard of Cameron McCormick.
Oh, yeah.
Who famously took a young Jordan Spieth to great heights in the mid-2015s and 16. Jordan Spieth was #1 player in the world, had won 3 majors, had a lot of things going on, and the last 10 years haven't been as good, weirdly so. I mean,
yeah,
he was in contention, I think, this past weekend for a couple rounds and faded away.
Yep.
So rather than talk about what's wrong with Jordan Spieth, but Cameron McCormick, this is pretty interesting, I think. This is about what's the right way to talk to yourself after you make a mistake.
They separate the mistake from their identity. A bad shot is information, not a verdict. Second, they name the problem simply. It's not a story, it's not blame, it's just something simple like start line, contact, or decision making. And then third, they give themselves one forward-focused cue, something actionable that they can commit to on the next shot. The mistake is either feedback or noise, and your self-talk decides which one it becomes. Great players aren't nicer to themselves. They're clearer, calmer, and faster at moving on, and that becomes the most important skill.
Yeah, I love what he said about how quickly good players will assess, and then and how quickly they put it behind them. They assess it, whereas amateurs, again, almost the opposite. They obsess over it. They are so concerned with what happened. You know, the way we talk to ourselves after a shot is so judgmental. And you find that the higher level of player you're around, the less judgmental they are in the moment, the more clear, as Cameron said there, they're clearer. They're very clear about what happened. Start line, contact, target. It's a cold assessment of the results, and then they move on. From your standpoint, as a guy that's coached, all kinds of players now, even good players, some of your better players have trouble separating themselves from the results and the outcomes.
Absolutely.
And what do you say about that?
Well, first off, I want to say, man, McCormick packed a lot of information in that short little bit, but I love the line, a bad shot is not a verdict.
Yes.
That was amazing. And because he's talking about the way that people judge themselves, hit bad shot, therefore I'm not a very good player, or today's not the day, et cetera, et cetera. More thinking, more judging, more feeling, and generally not good feelings. What a lot of young players have not learned yet now how to kind of create a boundary between what the golf ball does and their skill level and their image of themselves, their sense of competency and agency. They have not learned to divorce them, because what the golf ball does is totally different from who you are as a person and your ability, what's possible for you, etc. So a thing that have to work with players on, and Zokol talked about this, Richard Zokol, about assessment. And so often that's where the mistake happened. I remember you and I had a player that we worked with, D1 player, and she was chronically making bad assessments of what to do. I remember she tried to hit a 3-wood off a hanging lie, and of course you can't. That was just a bad assessment what to do. Instead of, she hit a poor shot. So once you just sort of get a clearer idea, like McCormick said, about their assessment, and often about the execution as well, But then you can learn from that.
Yes.
Because it's not about your performance. It's back to Fred Shoemaker. It's not our performance that determines our performance tomorrow. It's our learning today. And that's what pros do so well. They learn from every experience.
Yeah, and I can say this, as humbly as possible. As a better player, as I say, the better players you play with, the quicker they can either get over a shot or they understand, the parameters of a difficult shot. Like the player that you're referring to that we worked with together, one of the things you had me do was sort of go through with her the reality of golf. And oftentimes I do that with people I'm playing with, and I'll see somebody get mad over a shot. It's 20 or 22 yards from off the green, and they hit it to 10 or 12 feet, and you can see that they're a bit pissed by it. And I'm like, I've said this now 2,000 times. If you don't know what a good shot is, how will you know if you've hit one?
Yeah.
And that applies to a lot of good players, but it applies to a lot of people who are expecting that their shots should be closer than they are. And by understanding, the vagaries and the variance of golf, I think it's certainly helped me sort of calm yourself down, keep yourself at a neutral level. I don't even think about it anymore, but I just caught myself the other day playing around with somebody, and I caught myself, I topped a shot. I literally topped a shot off the fairway with a 3-wood like I was a brand new golfer. But my reaction to it, here's what I caught myself doing. My reaction to it was so, I can't think of a better word than nonplussed. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have known, if you saw me from a fairway away, you would have no idea what shot I just hit. Like, yeah. I've learned that, I've practiced that skill to the point where, an older version of me would have been trying to figure out what went wrong. All I did was think about it after I hit it, I sort of actually laughed. It was so bad, it made me laugh out loud.
Yeah. I use that with students all the time. If they do hit a shank or top it, I'll quote you. I'll say, well, that just happened.
Yes, exactly.
Or the other one I use is, you're still a good person.
That's right. I say that to people when they get. I will say that to other people if they hit a bad shot. Doesn't matter. It's okay. You're still a nice person.
Exactly. But before we leave this little segment, I want to add. I recall when I was just starting to make some more headway in my game, and my index was going like from 8 to 7 and downwards. And I remember just playing with some good players and just noticing so clearly that they didn't carry the same amount of tension in their body as I did. They didn't explain away bad shots. They just seemed, if they hit a bad shot, well, kind of quote you, that just happened, and they get on with it. Whereas I would just be this bundle of, oh my God, I'm a worthless golfer and probably a bad person, etc.
Well, it's what Fred said about, getting back to Fred, which I'm sure we will.
And we are.
And we are. Well, getting back to what he said about why do you golf? What's your purpose? If your purpose of golf is to see how good you can look or how you appear to other people, yeah, and I was as guilty of that as anyone.
Totally.
I did. Now that I think about that hole, this was last Saturday during our first little Saturday morning group, and I topped this 3-wood into a hazard. But it was a hazard that was dry, so they'd cut down some of the bulrushes or whatever it was, so I could go into the hazard and I could hit my ball out of the hazard. My feet got all muddy, but I didn't care. So so it's a par 5. So I hit it. It's that hole on Glencairn where you have to lay up off the tee. Everyone hates it.
I knew it was that hole.
Everyone hates it. I don't mind it. The problem with the hole is your second shots are always off a hanging lie. So I had a bit of a downhill lie. Quickly, I'm going to park this for a second. Back to your point about explaining. I didn't explain to anybody I was playing with why I just topped it. Prior, 10 years ago, I would have been explaining it for days. And the reason people explain bad shots, and you'll relate to this, is because we want the people we're playing with to know that doesn't normally happen to me.
I'm a good golfer.
I'm a much better golfer than that. But I just laughed out loud. The guys I'm playing with, I don't need to prove to them I'm a good golfer. So I topped this ball, literally laughed out loud. But in my mind, I was like, yeah, that's a tough lie. And I just kind of came up and I topped it. I go into the hazard. I hit a wedge back into the fairway. Now I'm 205-ish yards from the green. It's 7 degrees. I'm wearing 4 layers. And now I hit a 3-wood again. I choked down on it a bit, and I hit it to the green, but I'm 65 feet away. How do I know that? Because I got to the green on my 4th shot, and I was first to putt. I sink the putt. So I make par. I make par on this ridiculous hole after having topped it into the hazard, hit it out of the hazard, 205 yard, probably playing 230. I sink the putt, and the reason I know it's 65 feet is I walked it off after, because it'll be the longest putt I sink all year. And that's how fucked up this game is. Now,
Totally.
had an older version of me done the same thing, I would have been so pissed off that I topped a 3-wood. How dare I? That I just couldn't have gotten I still would have been thinking about it. I wouldn't have hit the green with my 4th shot. I would have been, I don't know. Again, you know what I'm saying, that it's what Cameron said about your ability to recover. How quickly can you put it behind you, assess it, see whatever, take it in for whatever it was, and then good players move on fast.
Yeah, well, you know what? I would just say, pal, given your grievous history, you are so deserving of a hole-in-one. You really are.
I appreciate that. It's funny you brought that up because I wanted to segue. Do you know what I'm going to bring up? The Brad Cholette email?
No.
Yeah, you know what? I do deserve a hole-in-one. Brad, one of our STDs, Brad Cholette, sent you and I... it took me a bit to understand this, but it's a scorecard. And he got 2 1s on his card. He had a 2 for a 1 on a par 3. And then a couple holes later, actually had a hole-in-one. What is going on, Tim?
You're still a good person, Howard.
It's ridiculous. So congratulations. And thanks to all the other STDs that keep sending me notes about their holes-in-one. I'm very excited for all of you. Anyway.
You're so gracious. You're so gracious.
Anyway, congratulations, Brad. Had a very nice round of golf, actually.
He's a good player. Goodness.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I remember I met Brad. We met Brad just shortly after we started this charade of things we do about 10 years ago. And he was a nice player then.
Well, according to this card, he shot 74, net 66. Yeah, when guys with an 8 handicap shoot 74, that also aggravates me. But congratulations on your hole-in-one.
Yeah, well done, Bradley.
2 net ones.
Wow.
Next up on our little roundup, this is Trip Eisenhower, who was a former tour player. Oof. And shows up on the Golf Channel now as a commentator. And Trip has, I don't know how long he's had this account, but it's called Gap Golf Coach. And he does a lot of sort of mental performance posts. And I thought you would enjoy this one, where he talks about the difference between playing versus competing.
Playing golf and start competing, trust me, that's when everything changes. If you're like most golfers, you go out and try to play golf with a focus on outcomes, things you can't control. But competitors, they go out with a completely different mindset. They expect pressure. They welcome it. They accept mistakes. They understand that's part of golf. And they stay committed to their process, things they can control no matter what. Because they understand something most golfers don't. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be consistent under pressure, running your processes. That's not a swing change. That is an identity shift. The moment you...
So what do you think about that?
one thing I love about a podcast is the focus on audio, and I love listening to Americans who sound like Trip Eisenhower.
Yeah.
I love names like Trip Eisenhower. He couldn't be any other nationality but American.
Yeah, there's no Italians named Trip Eisenhower. You're right.
No, I love that. But yeah, I agree with all of what he's saying. Is hang on a second.
You turned your mic off.
Yeah, I know. I just had to clear the froggy.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's a theme that I work with the players I work with and people I talk to all the time. Is you have to just disassociate yourself from the score as much as you can, although it is so difficult. I remember Tom Jackson. He was a former tour player, became a coach. He said, it's almost like your score kind of runs like a film in the background, but you try not to pay attention to it. But it's there, but you don't put your focus on that. As Trip Eisenhower said, what you do invest in is your process. Just over and over and over again. You just take care of the little tasks you need to do, and you just do them well, and you give them your full attention, and where it goes. And then you just get up to another shot and you just work through your process again. Those little tasks that you give your full attention to, and you just move on. And that's what competitors do. They know how, and see, one of the things I learned this from you, this phrase, is that you have to learn how to play tournament golf. That is so different than playing, as Trip Eisenhower said, or casual golf. They're just as different as what are things that are different? Night and day.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't want to jump in. I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but night and day is the obvious one. Up and down, night and day, in and out.
There you go. Yeah.
Very different. He says the biggest difference in golf isn't talent, it's identity. And most golfers identify with their score. Again, as Fred said, I have a good score, I'm a good person. I'm a bad score, I'm a bad person. And, you know, this is all leading up to, I have an event for my first event. We're taping this on May 6th. I have an actual, event on May 11th. So by the time we do another show, I will have actually been in a competitive environment for the first time of the year. I'm excited about it. And I, of course, want to, because it's a qualifier, by virtue of the name of it, it's to qualify. It's for the Ontario Senior Match Play. Excuse me. So, yeah, if I don't qualify, that might, it definitely would have felt to me like a loss years ago. But to me, not to sound too esoteric, golf spiritual leader, to me, the win is, I just find it so much fun being in a competitive environment. I just love it. And I do. I really do. I love golf in all manner, shapes, and forms. But when it comes to teeing it up where, I like being nervous. I like being in that environment. So I feel like the win is I get to do that again. And here I am. I'm 66. And, you never know how long you're going to be healthy. You never know what's coming for you. But to me, the victory in this is I get to do it. Now, I want to do it as well as I can. Don't get me wrong. I'm not that woo-woo yet. I want to do it to the best of my ability. But, I've been sort of throwing out the idea of goal setting. And what I've determined is my attainable goals for the 2026 golf season are all about process. But at the top of the list before process is gratitude and enjoyment, because, we're both running out of time. We're all running out of time. We are. We just are. And I don't know, I feel pretty good about the state of my competitive game right now, even though I haven't played a lot. But I feel great about the idea that I'm in a good place mentally to enjoy it, to continue to enjoy it for as long as I can.
Yeah, love that. Although I didn't hear the last few things you said because I have the Pink Floyd Time song in the back of my mind now. No, but no, it was what a different thing. It takes so damn long to learn these fucking lessons.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine going, like, if I had known 30 years ago that I could go on the tee in a tournament or a club event and go, I love doing this. Let
Yeah.
me at it. This is why I play golf, is to do this. Let's see what happens today. Instead of, oh my God, I hope I don't make a fool of myself and shoot 95 and forget all the things I'm supposed to do. I mean, golf is just not fun when you do that. But again, still, it's so counterintuitive to this culture of golf. I always feel like kind of old man, yelling at a cloud, about the golf culture. But, oh, it's just so pervasive in terms of all this information coming at people all the time about you got to do this and you got to meet the standard and are you doing it right and blah blah blah. And if we could just get back to a thing of like, you know what, I can play golf today. I have the means. I'm healthy. I'm with some people I know, or maybe who are nice to play golf with. I'm outside. That is such a different thing. And I think
Absolutely.
from that mindset, really good things can happen. And that can involve a golf ball going where you want it some of the time.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's fresh, and I've been rereading Fred's book, Fred Shoemaker. He tells a similar story about like thinking about, okay, I know I've experienced, let's say, the worst that can happen. I've shot, last year in the same qualifier that I'm qualifying in on Monday. Last year I shot 90, 9-0. I was playing with our friend Kent, who shot more than that. Doesn't matter what the number was, but we both took. I took a 10 in the round. He took a 12. It was 6 degrees. It was, what was that word you used? Grappling or
Grapple.
it was grappling
Grappling?
sideways. It was a horrible day. I'm wearing like snow pants. So, but it didn't kill me. And I've also experienced the other side of that. I broke 70 in a golf tournament for the first time last year. So I've experienced, and so having one of the best rounds in a tournament, I experienced that. Having the worst round for me in a tournament, I experienced that. And none of it really affected me. I mean, nothing. The sun came up. The kids still liked me. Dog,
Yeah.
nothing really changed. I'm paraphrasing Fred's book. So I experienced a bad thing, didn't hurt me. I experienced a great thing, wasn't that great. So
Yeah.
whatever happens on Monday, and then I've got a ton of events coming up in the next couple of months, and I'm looking forward to them because I like that feeling. It would be easy not to do them, because then you never get hurt or potentially get hurt. But I just have come to the realization over the last couple of years that I like to put myself in those situations because it's fun and I have
Absolutely.
fun doing them.
Yeah, and back to externals. I mean, Richard Zokol talked about we
Yeah.
get so focused on the externals. How do we look? Are we meeting our expectations? And that stuff is just so. It just doesn't matter. What I'm getting to in a ham-handed way, or not in a very good way, is about that no one cares. No one cares except us. And it's just such a misplaced investment. I remember, funny, Sandy and I were driving home from, I don't know where it was. And I got a call from you. This is about 8 years ago. And you're in your car and you're really upset. You just shot something really bad and you're like in this state. I don't know whether to go in the clubhouse or whether I should just go straight home. And I sort of talked you off the ledge. And so you went in to the clubhouse and you met your friends and you had a non-alcoholic beverage, and no one cared what you shot. They were all just happy to see you, and then you started laughing about it. And that's one of the things where we start to go like, really? That's when you start to understand the no one cares thing.
Yeah, no one
It's
does.
like I'm all, it's happened to me a bunch of times. Every golfer, you feel like, oh my, so embarrassed. No one fucking cares.
No, that is the sad but also happy realization. Well, that's all I got. I got a couple other things. I had an interesting story about Mickey Wright. We can save that for another time. Of course, if you're like the drinking game we told Fred about, if you are taking drinks every time we mentioned Fred Shoemaker. Although, if you go back and listen, there was one answer you gave today that literally included, I think, Dooland, Shoemaker, Ed, Dooland, Ledbetter. It was quite, you know what? It was quite something.
It's a name dropping show.
My girlfriend Shona, who is a golf aficionado as well, she said that she really enjoyed. I actually said to her, I said, I've never asked you to listen to one of these golf podcasts, but I think you'd enjoy the Fred Shoemaker one because it's not just about golf. And she agreed. She listened to it. She loved it. And she said, she thought that, that Fred was very good. And she thought I did a good job. She said, Tim's very, very articulate. I went, yeah, whatever.
Wait a minute, sister. I've been doing this for 45 fucking years.
I said, well, no, but she already said that I was fine. Anyway, she did pass on that she thought that you were.
That's very nice.
Good.
Thank you, Shona.
Just before we finish, I wanted to give you an opportunity to just bring us up to date. How are you feeling these days? Since let's not forget that it was only a couple months ago that your baby boy passed away, and you wanted to mention. I think you mentioned last week was his birthday, or would have been his birthday.
Yeah. Last week was his. It would have been his 32nd birthday, and so it was tough. But it was interesting is that my birthday seemed to be more difficult. My birthday was on the 20th. It was like 3 days of just feeling low and crappy. And one of the things that people who have experience with grief and this type of thing say that it's those milestones, the first time that you experience them, that it's tough. So just that was tough. And then Corey's birthday came up, and I don't know, people might find this interesting, is that Sandy and I went, so the boys grew up in Rockwood, which is just about 15 minutes outside of Guelph. And so Sandy and I we had lunch where we used to take the boys for popsicles and stuff, went for a hike in the conservation area where the boys used to hang, and we'd walk. And then Sandy and I had a coffee in it used to be a bakery where we'd buy tarts of things. So it was kind of like a nostalgia tour, and it felt good. And of course we felt sad, but we also just had some nice memories too. That night we went out to dinner with friends who were kind of like a second family. And here's where I said, this is what I'm building to. The idea, so that was Corey's birthday, which I thought would be fucking brutal. But actually what I learned was the idea of it being Corey's birthday was more disruptive or more of a bring down than his actual birthday. And that was interesting.
Like the anticipation of it.
Exactly.
But isn't that, if I can just interject briefly, isn't that always
Totally.
the way? I mean, that is the definition. Yeah. The definition of anxiety is we often, back to overthinking, we think it's going to be worse than it is. And generally, it doesn't turn out to be as bad as we build it up to be. Because I know the reason I brought it up now is because last week when it happened, we were dealing with Fred. And I just wanted to give you a chance to air that out. And I'm glad that it passed for you with some ease anyway.
Yeah. Because it's both, you're both, getting around it. You're grieving and mourning, but also remembering good things. It's like, every once in a while I'll be sad, cry, and then I'll smile. I'll remember something. And those moments are good.
Well, listen, man. I'm here for you, and as our audience is, and Are you okay that I brought that up? Because I know you said.
Oh, totally.
Okay, good.
Oh, totally. But I just want to add this little bit. We did what we called a memorial trip. Sandy and I and his brother Sean. We went to Toronto for the weekend.
Oh, nice.
After Corey's birthday, and we revisited the house where we brought both boys home to. Sandy and I, where we first in like our old stomping grounds, walking around the Danforth,
nice,
around Broadview and Chester and all that. And we went to our old haunts like Allen's. What an amazing bar and restaurant, and the Astoria. So, anyone who knows sort of East Toronto will know all those places, but
Yeah.
it was just wonderful. Again, sad, but beautiful.
Yeah, but I think healthy too. I think going.
Yeah,
to
thank
the
you. Thank you.
conference- It sounds very healthy. The Conservation Day and hanging out in the city with Sean, and we talked a long time ago about, and I didn't say anything you didn't already know, but I said, a lot of people try and avoid going through something, and you can't avoid it. You have to go through it to get it. You can't go around it, and it just sounds to me, with my limited psychology degree, it just sounds to me that you're taking a healthy approach to it, and whatever helps you go through it, I think can only help you go through it.
Thank you. Yeah, and so we got lots of support. We got lots of friends. I got a lot of smart friends too who've been through this, and I'm actually tonight going to go have dinner with two high school classmates. So 50 years ago, we were in grade 13. Yes, folks, there used to be grade 13, and that's how old Coach Tim is. 50 years ago. So two of my classmates both lost children.
Yeah, you were telling me about this.
So we're going to have dinner tonight. So yeah, what a weird thing it is that, and I'm so looking forward to seeing them. One of them I saw 10 years ago, another one haven't seen for 50. So strange, weird, awful circumstances that are bringing us together. But weirdly, this grief thing, I so look forward to seeing them and spending time. And we're going to no doubt laugh and cry and share stories and commiserate. So
I think in the final analysis of it all is when you find out that you're not alone, and you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. You have a lot of people on your side, myself included. Well, that's it. That's another episode of Swing Thoughts. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, brought to you by TaylorMade QI4D drivers, the fastest, most fittable drivers yet. It's time to find your new fast. We've got a few people lined up in the next couple of weeks. We hope you'll join us. As always, Nick, our producer, Nick, tell us where people can find us.
Yeah, so on Instagram and Twitter, it's swing_thoughts_podcast. Our YouTube is Swing Thoughts 1, and we have a brand new TikTok where we're going to be releasing clips like we do on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. That is Swing Thoughts 4.
I appreciate it, Nick. Well done, young man.
Thank you.
Until next time, thanks very much, everybody.
Down south.